Take one well-oiled, very effective killing machine. Or another. Or another. Or another. Add a familiar hero on the ground, in the air, or on horseback. Stir in a ghastly end that's surely impossible to escape. Add action. Add passion. Film it on a shoestring at breakneck speed. And you've got the recipe for the Republic Pictures story. A look at one of the best-loved studios of Hollywood's heyday. Exploding onto the movie scene in 1935, Republic Pictures brought the pop culture of the 30s and 40s to neighborhood movie houses. Week after week, kids sank into their matinee seats to soak up the golden age of the Republic series. Or to ride off into the classic American West. And they gave us visions of the future. Visions that inspire filmmakers to This was a studio that dollar for dollar packed more movie onto the screen than the majors could believe. From sunrise on into the night, over grueling 6-day weeks. No matter how much mayhem these ingenious movie makers were called upon to produce, at Republic Pictures, it was all in a day's work.
Whoa! Well, get after him! Look at the
Republic Pictures was a little studio in the San Fernando Valley where movies were made family style. A corps of directors, technicians, and actors worked hard at their craft as Republic released a staggering total of over 1,000 films through the late 1950s. When a Republic movie came on the screen, it began with Independence Hall or the familiar Bald Eagle. But after the logo faded, nearly anything could follow. From Hillbillies to Macbeth, from caves to the concert hall. Republic Pictures ranged far and wide, but never forgot their grassroots American audience. This was a studio with an attitude. It was bold and proud, like its foremost star. Republic Pictures was home to John Wayne for 33 films. Always inventing, Republic brought a song to the West with its first major singing cowboy.
You want me to want you when I'm in love with somebody else. You expect me to be true and keep on loving.
Where's that voice? It came from out here.
Republic brought action, adventure, and escape to neighborhood movie houses across America. And they brought it with style. A scene from the 1936 Western, The Three Musketeers, gave screaming kids at the Bijou a white-knuckle display of expert filmmaking. Republic became a studio where major directors could bring their personal visions to the screen. Sometimes visions no other studio would touch. And sometimes their greatest love.
That was nice.
Not at all.
John Ford brought a brooding, soaring love story in The Quiet Man. Nicholas Ray gave us Joan Crawford with a gun in Johnny Guitar.
Come and get me, Mr. McIvers.
We don't want no shooting, Vienna.
Alan Dwan showed the hell of war in Sands of Iwo Jima. And Louis Milestone recreated the magic of boyhood in John Steinbeck's The Red Pony. Republic Pictures brought us some big names and familiar faces. Duke Ellington, Barbara Stanwyck, Victor McLaughlin, Robert Mitchum, John Carroll, Gail Russell, Louis Armstrong, Fred McMurray, Mickey Rooney, Claude Rains, Ernest Borgnine, Vincent Price, Myrna Loy, Errol Flynn, Ann Sheridan, Claire Trevor. In all of Hollywood, there was no greater range of leading men and women on screen, from Dick Tracy to Don Amici, from Ethel Barrymore to the Tiger Woman.
Satisfied?
Republic Pictures was a studio that blossomed with variety. It knew what its audience wanted, and it delivered the goods. Our story begins on the old Mack Sennett lot. Republic Pictures took over the little studio surrounded by orange groves in the fall of 1935. Republic Pictures was the brainchild of a self-made film tycoon named Herbert J. Yates, a Brooklyn-born kid with a talent for making money and a gambler's spirit. Republic movies often portrayed the mogul behind the
You
desk.
get 2,500, tails you get 2,000. Here we go. You lose, it's 2,000.
The first flip of the Republic coin was a film titled Westward Ho, a morality play about the vengeance of a young man whose parents were killed by cattle rustlers when he was just a boy.
Get back there with a herd, you muttonhead.
Shot in 2 weeks with a budget of $15,000, Westward Ho starred an affordable newcomer named John Wayne, a tall, skinny guy who would go on to become Republic's biggest star.
Well,
A month later, with another crew, Republic was shooting a cowboy who sang. Gene Autry was a radio star with hit records. But when he hit the movies, this was the start of something big. They even put their own discovery into a movie.
Any of you boys know anything about this test?
You think he has possibilities?
He's a natural. I'll finance a series of top-budget musical westerns starring this,
Gene Autry.
Gene Autry, yeah.
Gene Autry remembers his early competition at Republic.
I used to kid with Wayne. We were having a drink, and he said, you know, Gene said, if I could have carried a tune and maybe sung just a few lines, that I might have been the first singing cowboy and you might not have ever happened. And I said, Duke, it was not my singing that put me over. It was my extra fine acting ability that did that. You should get away from me, or get away.
This was the last time John Wayne strummed a guitar and had the voice of a tenor pour out.
Oh, please sing it again.
In 1938, Republic had the first ever Broadway premiere for a B-Western to announce the discovery of a new singing cowboy star. Republic exhibitors were warned he's headed your way with 6 guns aimed at your box office. Roy Rogers was the young singer Leonard Sly, destined for a new name and a life in the saddle.
am I? Born to the splendor and the charm of the plains, I'm free as the birds that fly.
I became Roy Rogers in my first picture because I didn't think Leonard Sly sounded like a Western name. So finally somebody came up with a Rogers name for the last name. I liked that, but they talked about Leroy Rogers. I said, no. I said, I knew a kid when I was young. His name was Leroy, and I couldn't stand him. So I knocked that out, and we ended up being Roy Rogers, and I made my first picture with that name, and it stuck.
The little studio brought talent from everywhere to make it work. Singer Frances Langford played a reluctant radio performer in The Hit Parade.
I dreamed of you.
Former heartthrob of the silent screen, Raymond Navarro, rode like the wind in the 1937 romance The Sheik Steps Out. Popular novels were a good source of Republic material. Ellery Queen devised a plan to catch the criminal in The Spanish Cape Mystery.
Because catching the murderer is going to depend entirely upon your courage.
How?
Well, when you go to bed tonight, I want you to leave your windows open, turn off the lights, and lie awake until 1:15 in the morning. Then I want you to close your eyes and pretend to go to sleep. Chances are that sometime after 1:15, the murderer will enter your room and try to kill you.
I wonder why I had to waken just to find you taken from the sweetest dream that I have known.
All right, Sheriff, now!
The 1936 film Two Sinners was based on a Cosmopolitan magazine story about a woman sentenced unjustly to the shameful prison of masks.
Vanished with a sigh, and there was I alone.
I'm not alone. I'm Olsen.
But Republic Pictures couldn't keep a sad face for long.
I'm Johnson.
Vaudeville, radio, and the legitimate stage were all sources of Republic talent, and they often found their way into one of the popular Hit Parade musicals.
Even Junior told me the other day I had a big mouth. I said, well, how do you get that way? He said, well, Daddy says you can swallow anything.
Talent on the screen was only part of Republic's appeal. The studio was at the forefront of technological innovation. As early as 1937, they released one of the first color films, The Bold Caballero, starring Bob Livingston as a cagey Zorro. An early two-color process called Magnacolor made Zorro's plight all the more vivid. By 1938, Republic was ready to commit its highest budget ever, just over $300,000, on a movie about the advance of modern times. Army Girl pitted an armored tank in a race against the U.S. cavalry. Their investment earned the studio 3 Academy Award nominations. Republic's skill in creating miniatures was a cornerstone in the production of the Republic serials. Kids at the Saturday matinees wanted to see the incredible come to life, and they did. In the 1936 serial Undersea Kingdom, popular star Crash Corrigan plays a Navy man who ends up in a gladiator's helmet in the lost continent of Atlantis, strapped to a futuristic tank with the always evil Lon Chaney Jr. behind the wheel.
Tell your friends to hand over that priming powder or I'm going to ram through those gates. Go ahead and ram. Have you changed your mind? No. Ram the gate.
Coming up next, the golden age of the sound serial. Heroes, villains, and cliffhangers that kept kids screaming for more.
Oh, mister, won't you please take pity on a poor little girl like me? For I'm a stranger to your city, and I'm as lonely as a girl can be. You'll find that I'm a friendly miss who likes to sit and talk, or maybe even go out in the moonlight for a walk.
Republic serials were adventure fantasies, shown in 15-minute cliffhanging episodes every Saturday at the kids' matinees. Heroes and heroines were pitted each week against the most maniacal villains on Earth, or from the heavens beyond. Episodes would end with a cliffhanger, a gem that no mortal could possibly survive. And every new episode would begin with a takeout, a clever trick our hero pulled at the last minute. Damsels in distress were the hallmark of Republic serials, and every week brought another jam and another dastardly villain, mad scientists, jungle adventurers.
Don't move, Tiger Woman.
Costume fiends, robots, and invaders from outer space, all conspired to torment the virtuous. The Lightning, a 1938 version of Darth Vader, shares a plan of greed and world domination that's common among serial villains.
I will be ready to dictate to those fools below us with their armies, their battleships, and their guns. There is no force on Earth I can't bring to my feet. The power of electricity can rule the world, Professor, and we control that power.
Lucky for the screaming kids in the theaters, there was no dearth of superhuman talent to save us all.
Spy Smasher. That's right.
So? Drop your guns. The masked marvel.
Often, Republic superhumans could be found at the newsstand. Republic made comic book characters come to life. Dick Tracy, Red Ryder, Captain America, the Lone Ranger, and it took nearly superhuman talent to keep the audience in a state of nervous exhaustion throughout over 50 episodes a year, a prodigious 849 episodes over 20 years.
Looked fine on the camera, Mr. Bennett. It was full in. Okay.
Hollywood director George Sidney was working for MGM when he ran into a Republic crew hard at work.
I was on location somewhere once up in Iverson's ranch, maybe, and we were shooting a big picture, you know, with all kinds of equipment. And I look over here in the next hill, and there's Republic, and they have a stagecoach or something. It's going to come down the mountain and burn and roll over and this and that and the other. And I said to whoever it was directing, if they came over to see me, I said, well, where's the second one, the third one, for the other takes? I said, what do you mean? I said, one take, that's it. Well, while we were lining up, bad guys came, they threw the thing in, they burned it, the thing went down the hill, and they were on their way. We hadn't finished our coffee.
In 1941, the popular comic book character Captain Marvel made it to the matinee serial screen week after week, only because Republic's crackerjack directing team of William Whitney and John English alternated days to meet a tight shooting schedule. Deep inside a catacomb, on an archaeological expedition, little Billy Batson stumbles upon an ancient personage.
I am Shazam.
My name is...
All is known to me. Your name is Billy Batson.
Shazam bequeaths to Billy the powers of the gods, the power to transform into Captain Marvel.
But who is Captain Marvel?
You are my son. All that is necessary is to repeat my name, Shazam. Now, my son, repeat.
Grown-up actor Frank Coughlin Jr. remembers the hazards of playing Billy Batson.
Shazam. There was a trough of powder in front of me, and when I'd say Shazam, it would be sparked off, smoke would come up. When it cleared away, they'd cut the camera then, and then Tom Tyler would get in the same position. He'd also say Shazam, the smoke would clear away, and there he was, and he'd go off to beat up the bad guys. You know, there were a couple of times out on location when the wind was blowing wrong that I nearly lost a couple eyebrows when the spark went off.
Shazam! Shazam!
As Captain Marvel springs into action, so does Republic's crack special effects department. The blending of studio footage, film backgrounds, and miniatures put Republic's reputation in the bag.
The Lydecker brothers, who they're marvelous special effects, and they're still using some of their tricks in the Indiana Jones pictures. Spielberg has admitted it.
Boy, was that some ride!
Republic serials were the first to bring the ultimate comic strip character to life.
Hello? Dick Tracy speaking.
So successful were the 4 Dick Tracy serials that actor Ralph Byrd became Dick Tracy to the American public. Republic consulted with the Los Angeles office of the FBI, making Tracy an authentic king of law and order.
Step back from that window. One more little matter to attend
But all too often, the bad guys had a bead on you and their fingers on the buttons. Mechanical devices in the wrong hands were a common problem in Republic serials. Having a robot do the dirty work was popular among cowardly villains.
Get away from that desk and put up your hands.
Serial fan Buck Henry remembers the appeal of mechanical men.
Every kid has wanted a robot. Somebody to knock over buildings for you, fight your friends for you, somebody to stand in a good rock fight. They all ran to the heart of kids' fantasies.
That's that. Whether the fights were robotic or hand-to-hand, director William Whitney was a master at fisticuffs. His sequences in the 1942 serial Spy Smasher were some of the best ever filmed. Whitney was a veteran of the entire Republic production history, reporting to work the day the studio opened its doors. Whitney directed nearly 100 films for Republic, including 24 of its best serials.
In the old days, when I first came into the business, they'd turn a bunch of stuntmen loose in a set and let them fight. Well, after 2 minutes, after the first couple of seconds, everybody's out of place, and guys are waiting to be hit. Hit me. Somebody come up, you know, they're waiting, looking around. One day, I went over to see a friend of mine working on the Busby Berkeley set, and I watched him rehearse a line swinging in with the kicking girls. When they came in, they were perfect, and he said, all right, let's shoot it. So they shot just that section, just that girls swung in line, and then they'd been rehearsing. So I came back and I talked to Jack English about it, and I said, Jack, I think we can shoot fights like this. I'm going to try it. So now I rehearse the guys for just one little thing, a punch and a fall off a balcony, a fall over the table. And then I'd cut a close-up in or cut to another part of the fight. And so all fights are shot that way now, just little sections at a time. And we changed the whole routine of shooting a fight.
Actress Linda Sterling was a contract player at Republic, starring in serials, westerns, and dramatic features, but she is best known for her role as the Tiger Woman. A former fashion model, Linda got her first taste of Republic at the fitting for her Tiger Woman costume.
Actually, we went to Western Costume and had the design had already been ordered. In fact, the whole outfit had been ordered. And we're looking at it, and the lady said, "Wait a minute, this is leopard." Not real, of course, leopard skin fake. And we laughed, and that's what we ended up having, because he said, "Well, we're sorry, we had no stripes in stock."
In the 1944 serial, The Tiger Woman, our heroine rode pell-mell to the rescue.
I had no control over the horse at all. I just kept right on going, and they had to send several of the riders, the stuntmen, to follow me, to find me, and I was a mile away, on the ground, of course, always on the ground. And they would just pick me up, dust me off, put makeup over the dirt and the scratches, and stand me back up in front of the camera, and there I was again.
But when it got to be too dangerous, no director would risk his star. Stuntmen and women at Republic were the best in the business. Hiding the doubles' faces and disguising their presence was an important part of making it all work. Actor Richard Webb, later known for his famous role as Captain Midnight on television, played hero Lane Carson in the 1950 serial The Invisible Monster. In every action scene, he always wore a hat.
Because the doubles had wavy hair. They could not stop every shot and comb their hair out straight. So they said, "Webb, keep your hat on." I said, "All right, I'll do what I can."
Hiding your hair was one thing, but some roles call for a complete disguise. Little boys were paying their 10 cents to see a hero, but sometimes the hero turned out to be a girl. A girl who was pretty handy with a whip, a Zorro look-alike. Zorro's Black Whip. But for 4 of Republic's serial heroes, there was no need to worry what to wear on a dapple gray. Who needs a horse when you can fly? For Captain Marvel, Rocket Man, Commando Cody, and even a guy named Larry Martin, arriving, escaping, and rescuing in the nick of time was merely a matter of leaping into the air for a quick flight. But for most of our cliff-hanging good guys, there was no flight. There was no escape. There was no mercy. Every good guy who narrowly escapes an explosive death, a bad guy gets his. The fiery pits that tortured so many finally engulfed the evil. There's no escape for evildoers at the end of a Republic serial. In the 1937 serial, SOS Coast Guard, a bad guy like Boroff, played by Bela Lugosi, gets the capsule of disintegrating gas and ultimately dissolves from view. leaving only the white slick of his evil memory and a matinee house filled with cheering boys and girls.
I love the West.
Stay tuned for Republic Pictures' love affair with the American West.
Where the skies are bluer and the gals are truer, where the grass is greener and the varmints meaner, where life is rougher and the men are tougher. That's why I love the West.
By 1939, Republic Pictures had hit its stride. Movie houses across the country were calling for more Republic product, and the studio ended the 30s with its biggest film yet. Man of Conquest was the rousing story of the life of Sam Houston.
Crazy Sam Houston.
Crazy, am I? Well, just remember this, that when the time came to fight, Houston was crazy enough.
Richard Dix gave a complex performance as the ambitious but tormented Texan.
Come here, you.
His political rise ends in a mismatched marriage with the young and sensitive Joan Fontaine. Sam Houston would ultimately lead his fellow Texans to victory and statehood. Man of Conquest was lauded by the critics and had to stand up to stiff competition from the majors that year against films like Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, and Wuthering Heights. Little Republic was definitely doing something right.
I'm back in
By 1940, Gene Autry would be the fourth highest-grossing movie star in all of Hollywood. Not even Clark Gable could compete with the grassroots draw of a singing cowboy.
I'm back in the saddle.
Republic had started a whole new genre, and Gene was the first to take off.
I got the boots. I got the other one. You girls are pikers.
Wherever you are.
There was a formula to the singing Western. Our musical cowboy had to have three things, and the first was a good song.
Be honest with me. South of the border, down Mexico way.
That song was written by two Irishmen that had never seen a cowboy and never been to this country. So I listened to it and I liked it. And that was one of my biggest records, and it was a very big picture for me, too.
A singing cowboy also had to have a famous horse. Gene Autry's was Champion. And finally, a loyal sidekick, Smiley Burnett.
Well, old Smiley was a big-hearted guy, hard worker. He could talk in that low, froggy voice, you know, way down like that. And so we started calling him Frog Millhouse.
Well, I may not have a lot,
But I'm proud of what I got.
Rocking in the saddle all day.
Gene Autry was a cowboy hero, ready to take the risks, willing to take the lumps.
I've done several things that was dangerous.
Besides risking his neck fighting on the rigging of a runaway team, Gene did this memorable train transfer so the camera could see it was really our star.
I rode up and reached over and got a hold of it, and I just climbed right up on top and went on in and jumped down in the cab and started the fight with the engineer.
Gene's fans had particular tastes. Riding and shooting was the perfect combination for a boy in a Saturday matinee. Action without the mush.
You all right? You all right?
Oh, don't say it.
Don't say what?
Are you all right? Oh, this is getting a mud pack the hard way.
But even a hero could be shy when it comes to the ladies.
Remember how the prince woke up the Sleeping Beauty? He had to kiss her.
Buck Henry didn't trust those girls when it came to his cowboy hero.
No. What we didn't want to see was singing and loving. We wanted to see fighting and shooting and riding and falling and hurting and throwing and that stuff.
Gene Autry taught us how to live clean and how to survive in the Wild West. But it looked like survival in Hollywood meant beating out the punk that's creeping up on you.
I didn't intend to use the gun anyway.
In The Old Corral, released in 1936, the myth of the Autry-Rogers rivalry began. Roy Rogers was the kid who got whooped in this picture.
You all right, Bud? Oh, my right arm's sprained a little, my ribs stove in. How's your throat?
But his throat was just fine.
Sure you sing. Sing? Yeah, sing. Yodelay. That's all right. Say, what's this all about?
It was all about singing for your supper.
And the cowboy has to yell.
Young Roy set to work on the Republic lot, where for the next 14 years, he would go on to star in 81 westerns and earn the title of King of the Cowboys.
Home we go.
Roy moved on to play historical roles. He played the good guy.
What's your name?
Hickok. Bill Hickok.
You know, you was lucky, young woman, to have a fella like Bill Cody ride along when your horse is busted loose. Why, he's the greatest buffalo hunter in the state of Kansas.
And the bad guy.
All right, Mr. Jesse James, we're heading to the sheriff's office.
If they ask you where I am, say
But the public wanted Roy as their modern good guy, a romantic singing cowboy. There was only one problem.
Well, I always had squinty eyes, you know, and the studio was kind of worried about not having big bedroom eyes, so to speak, like Clark Gable and some of them. But they were worried about my eyes being squinty, so they sent a first aid man out on location with us, and every so often he'd come by and drop these drops in my eyes and paralyze them.
Tonight when
In 1942, when Gene Autry enlisted in the Army, Republic's second singing cowboy moved up in the ranks, and Roy's ride to stardom would be on the back of the smartest horse in the movies.
I think Trigger was about the third horse I got on, and I never looked at the rest of them, because I knew that just from how he handled himself, and pretty, he was a golden color, and I knew that they couldn't make anything any better than this one. And he was something.
Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu.
With a cowboy who could sing like Roy and ride like Roy, the studio boss knew he had something. Something with legs, as they say in the business.
Put your arms around me, honey, hold me tight, huddle up and cuddle up with all
When Dale Evans strapped on her 6 shooters, Roy got hit with a leading lady who made him see stars.
You hurt? No, I'm all right.
Oh, my goodness, the poor man. He stepped right in front of me. Well, don't just stand there. Get some water. Get a doctor, quick.
Reckon we better find out who he is first. He may not be worth saving. I'll take care of this till he comes to.
No, you don't. Shame on you picking an unconscious man's pocket.
Oh. Ouch. The idea of pretending you're hurt.
But I found him to be just as plain as an old shoe and comfortable, you know. And he was what he was. He didn't have any Hollywood facade.
The real Roy may have been comfortable, but when he was on camera, that old shoe was sweet torment.
How about that date?
No! Let me out of here!
You're fired, you hear? Fired!
your way out of there, cowboy.
That was that big bear, by the way, and it was in the wintertime, and that water was like ice water. We had to do it 3 times. I like to froze to death that day.
Roy,
Did the light go off in there?
don't be funny.
Get their guns.
Roy and Dale seemed to have it. They were a team. But when the 2 stars linked up in real life, the studio was worried how it would look.
I'll ride any place with you.
The girls, though, didn't like me too much because they liked Roy. They all, so many said, I'm going to marry Roy Rogers when I grow up.
When we got married, the studios didn't think it would be right for her to be my wife and I'm my girlfriend in the pictures, so she was out of the pictures for a while, and the people just went crazy. I mean, we got a jillion letters saying, want Dale back in the pictures.
Well, I'm darned if I know how such a big lug can be so nice sometimes. One minute I want to... Where have I heard that before?
But the old chemistry was never better.
Why didn't you do that in the first place? That's a sure way to wake me up.
I never hated anybody so much in all my life.
There was only one who objected to the presence of women in Roy's life, and that one was his sidekick, Gabby Hayes.
What's this stuff for?
Just something to make you smell good. You should try it sometime.
Don't you worry none about them two. Don't matter how hard she tries. He's too smart to let any woman rope and hog tie him. He's like me.
Who'd want you?
Plenty of women have tried to get me.
There must have been something wrong with them, mentally.
Them overalls supposed to hang right there.
Hang. They can stand by themselves. I'd just as soon live in a buzzard's nest.
Well, that'll suit you just fine.
He wasn't anything like the character you see on the screen. He wore beautiful tweed suits, drove a Continental convertible, and he was straight as a arrow, you know, but when he took his teeth out and put that old suit on, he became Gabby, so he's 2 complete different people.
Hope your driving's better than your coffee. You want to drive?
Gabby was an ornery cuss who could show a guy like Pat Brady a bad time behind the wheel.
Run just as well that way. He never pays any attention to the direction I wanted to go anyhow. I say there ain't nothing to worry about. Put it back, you lunatic! Put it back!
But his deeds of courage were legendary.
They ain't no 2 men alive. They ain't no 5 men alive could hog-tie Gabby Whitaker, unless he was knocked unconscious when they done it. I remember the time I was holding the Fort Blown. There was 50 wild Indians around me. There I was, both guns blazing. I looked around,
He's like my father, my buddy, and my brother all wrapped up in one, you know. He's just, I can't say enough for him.
Good neighbor.
When studio boss Herbert Yates heard about Oklahoma on Broadway, he wanted to buy the musical for Roy. Failing that, he settled on a new formula for Republic's #1 cowboy, big production numbers and bigger budgets to spin more musical magic. Walter Sharp was the music director charged with striking a new note for Hands Across the Border.
I brought in Hoagie Carmichael, who written Stardust, to write the songs. And they never could believe that I would bring somebody of that stature to write a song for Roy Rogers, who had this little group that sang behind him. They sang pure westerns. I says, let's elevate them.
Moms and dads loved the songs and enjoyed the romance. But for the youngsters, Roy Rogers lived their dreams of adventures on the range.
Lightning a-flashing everywhere, thunder a-rolling through the air. Wind and rain, cattle look insane, this herd might stampede tonight.
Only at Republic would a boy dream of stampedes and a cowboy recite poetry on the stormy range.
We face the fight this raging night with the odds on the side of death. Forest stampeding herd when its panic stirred is a thing for a cowboy to shun. Cause no mortal man ever holds command when the cattle are on the run.
Roy and Dale made their professional home in the little studio in the valley, and the marriage seemed to work.
The Republic was home to me as far as pictures are concerned. I mean, that was my home and my training. It's a warm studio and warm people, friendly people.
Coming up next, the nuts and bolts of Republic Pictures. A look at the studio at work. Republic Pictures was a studio proud of itself, its stars, its contracts, deals, and success.
About you. Don't know why.
Whether in its movies it was Mammoth Studios, Superior Pictures, Regent Pictures, Perfection Pictures, or even
Republic. Oh, hello, Roy.
a tour of Republic Pictures took you past the guards to the administration building, to the camera department, where 8 cameramen shot a remarkable 80% of Republic's output, over 800 films. Messenger girls wheeled from the editing rooms to makeup, to the gun room, blacksmith shop, and the miniature shop, where toy-like models came to screen life through the genius of the Lydecker brothers, Howard and Theodore.
Looks like the supply trains are moving, but the bridge ain't.
Bud Thackeray's process department could put you on the road. And special effects brought history to life. We saw the San Francisco earthquake with our own eyes in Flame of Barbary Coast. We watched the Krakatoa volcano do in the bad guys in Fair Wind to Java. And the 1936 Civil War film, Hearts in Bondage, pitched the Monitor against the Merrimack in realistic miniature work. Movies were in the making all over the Republic lot. In a year's time, there was no telling how many bad guys would stride down this western street where director William Whitney shot many a scene.
Hold it, Ferguson. Cut!
A little kid said to me once, how come Gene Autry and Roy Rogers live in the same town?
Republic made a fine art of saving a dollar, and a western street was a western street, ready and waiting for the next cowboy.
It's a nice little town, Bill. Where do you live, Miss Wiley?
Live? I live in the residential section. Now, you take the next turn.
On the back lot, a waiting cave set came alive again and again.
I've got it. It's cracked here. I'll bet there's a tunnel on the other side. I gotta stick up this wall plastered up to make it look like real rock.
The white powdered set for a village snow scene in Lake Placid Serenade set the stage for a Czechoslovakian ice skater to float onto the Republic scene. Vera Fruba was an Olympic skater who was caught by a camera and won a movie mogul's eye. Vera's romance with studio boss Herbert Yates was played out in Republic films.
Dave, the musical show is out.
Look, Chief, this is getting monotonous. Last year you saw a gal on a diving board, so you do a water
Don't you see the possibilities? Ice, ice.
In a highball, it's terrific.
Vera, maybe you will find your dream prince in America.
Vera, my little pigeon, where are you?
I'm in the living room.
I wish you both my captain.
Vera became Mrs. Herbert Yates and Vera Ralston for the screen. And as his hand-picked heroine, she would go on to make 26 pictures, some of the biggest budgeted Republic films of the 40s and 50s. When Vera started, she was the exotic princess of the ice. She went on to become the temptress every Republic hero desired.
soir. Say good night, mon chéri.
Hello, you.
I hope your dreams.
Hello, Jean-Green.
But you mustn't doubt me.
I'm just confused.
But she made them pay the price.
I'll ride in my splendid carriage. The silks will rustle and the jewels sparkle when I move. And I don't care who pays the bill.
Therefore, I ordered the person of Jane Doe be delivered to the warden.
In the drama I, Jane Doe, her favorite film for Republic, Vera Ralston met with hopeless odds and a sentence of death.
She be put to death in the electric chair.
But she never does get the chair. Death for the Queen of Republic must be a far more just and lyrical end.
He who lives by the sword shall perish by the sword.
The rise to stardom of a young Czechoslovakian ice skater is but one of many hopeful stories at Republic's Dream Factory. It was a place where actors got their start. From a young Rita Cancino, soon to be known as Rita Hayworth, to Robert Stack, a romantic heartthrob in Bullfighter and the Lady, to Hugh O'Brien as a bad guy in The Twinkle in God's Eye.
Hey, wait a minute. Ain't it the custom for old friends to kiss when they hadn't seen each other for a while?
Morning, my dear.
Rita Moreno got a start in The Fabulous
I
Senorita.
wish to have a little talk with you. Come and have your breakfast.
Peter Lawford didn't even get credited in Someone to Remember.
How do you do? I'm Joe Downs.
And Leonard Nimoy took his first dip into outer space in the 1952 serial Zombies of the Stratosphere. 6-year-old Beau Bridges made an early appearance in The Red Pony.
Like the plague of locusts?
And the already lovely Natalie Wood was a natural in Republic's Driftwood.
Do they eat them alive?
And Phyllis Isley, later to be known as Jennifer Jones, went west in New Frontier. The rural Republic audience liked to know its stars. So making movies in a series became a specialty of the studio. Country star Judy Canova left radio to play the bumpkin Cinderella in Republic's Judy Canova series.
My goodness, couldn't be prettier if it was a gas station.
And the Weaver Brothers series brought hillbilly humor to 11 Republic films.
Strawberry patch, but oh, all them maters.
And the ever-fumbling Higgins family stuck together through thick and thin for a series of farces with a more urban twist.
You unmitigated sap. $5,000 gone just like that.
Hey, stay on your own side. I'm doing all right.
The popular Three Musketeers series brought a trio of cowboy buddies to the rescue.
Partner, let me shake your hand. Gosh, thanks.
The actors changed, and for 8 of the 51 westerns, young John Wayne played the dashing, hot-headed Stony Brook. But the most successful team was Bob Livingston, Ray Corrigan, and comic Max Terhune.
Fade in, long shot. Exterior Mountain Road. Gosh, that's pretty.
But it was the stock players at Republic, the actors who reported to makeup day after day, picture after picture, who gave Republic movies their characters. The most recognizable were the villainous Roy Barcroft and the beautiful Adele Mara. Faces like Estelita Rodriguez Stephanie Batchelor showing her friend to the elevator.
Good night, Freddie.
Adrian Booth with her zombie friend. Peggy Stewart under a spell. Grant Withers on the spot.
What's that?
Joe, I've looked everywhere for you.
And Catherine MacLeod. All were familiar faces from Republic.
I forgot you were so beautiful.
So many people didn't want to sit on the bench, be bench warmers, so they would go to Republic and get a chance to get on. You have a girl that was on the contract to MGM, and her name was Catherine MacLeod. Well, she went over to Republic, and she was a leading lady there.
I got my start, and I'm very grateful at MGM. But I got my chance at Republic.
Actress Ruth Terry, a successful club singer and veteran of several major Hollywood studios, remembers her feelings about Republic.
I want romance, I want to be gay.
I would much rather be a big fish in a little pond than to be a little fish in a big pond. I felt important at Republic.
'Cause I'm a happy-go-lucky cowboy.
Republic had other big fish on the line, with cowboy stars Wild Bill Elliott,
My gat, my spurs and hat.
Don Red Barry, Sunset Carson, Alan Rocky Lane,
Free as the eagle above.
and singing cowboys Monty Hale and Rex Allen.
Arizona cowboy, and the desert my home.
It was widely agreed in the movie business that Republic stunt work was as good as you could get. And it was family style. A group of 9 stuntmen called themselves the Cousins. Because they helped each other out so many times, they had the trust of family. Stuntman Tom Steele appeared in over 150 Republic films in virtually all of the great serials. He's the man behind the mask in The Masked Marvel.
Those days was hard knocks. We all needed a job, and they paid cash those days, and you collected your pay that night at the window. We taught one another and experimented.
More than strength and nerve, a stuntman had to have a feel for when to jump. Leaping off a cliff to a racing wagon is a split-second call.
Jump out instead of down to it, out. And look down, and I'd see the horses under me. And you think, oh boy, am I going to make it? And next thing you see the driver and then the stagecoach in your hand. So that moment, and that's timing.
Stunts were called gags, and when you came to work, there was no telling what you'd be called upon to do. A single bulldog, a double bulldog, a quadruple horsefall, leaps, transfers, and bone-crunching fights, a specialty of stunt great David Sharp. Stunts put our hearts in our throats. But when it came to confessing our heart's desire, Republic sent in the music department.
I can sit here, touch these ivory keys, and look up at the stars at night through this window. And they'll become my orchestra, playing with me. With all the strings and horns and
Republic's music director, Walter Sharp, found his inspiration on the set.
You watch, and every day there's something else happening. A characterization is starting to form. You have to be there. You have to inhale it. You got to smell it. And that is the basis of making good films.
The studio constructed a scoring stage that won Republic an Academy Award for technical innovation. On stage 12, great film composers created heart and soul for Republic Pictures. Victor Young's orchestration for John Ford's Rio Grande swept us from a cavalry saga to a human drama with the swing of his baton.
John Ford, he clear his throat. That meant that he's on the verge of tears. That meant something that's wonderful that's happening there. And he seldom did anything touch him that much.
When Aaron Copland conducted his score for The Red Pony on the Republic stage, an American musical classic was recorded.
It was like the film was adapted to the score, rather than the score adapted to the film.
Republic had a pressing need for good songs. John Carroll specializes in turning them out quickly in Hit Parade of 1943.
I call it the Miracle Lyric Master.
Murder, ain't it?
Now, take that tune of yours. It's, we'll call it a ballad.
Gee, thanks.
Well, we'll start right here. Holiday, novelty, hillbilly, religious, western, ballad. There you are. There are the titles. I found love. Was it love? Could it be love? Will I find love? I found love. You brought me love. There it is. Put it down. You brought me love.
But there were no fakes at Republic. Songwriters like Julie Stein and Sammy Kahn gave us memorable tunes.
Seems to me I've heard that song before. It's from an old familiar score. I know it well, that melody.
Rudolph Frimmel would compose for the ever-popular Nelson Eddy and Ilona Massey.
You're nearer than just an hour ago.
Republic moviegoers could settle up with
Pistol packing mama, lay that pistol.
and a nightclub singer like Dale Evans, who may have posed as a cowgirl, brought the glamour and appeal of a song to many a Republic picture.
I never winked back at fireflies, but now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark. That's the four-alarm fire now. I never made that.
Coming up next, Republic Pictures goes to war on the home front and in the trenches.
All right, saddle up. Follow me. Everybody, let's go.
1941, a date which will live in infamy.
On December 7th, 1941, American liberty fell under direct attack, and Republic Pictures recorded the date. The studio quickly registered the title of their first wartime feature, and in just 6 short months had Remember Pearl Harbor in neighborhood theaters. Their popular cowboy hero, Don Red Barry, was now riding the sky instead of the range, and making the kind of sacrifice that moviegoers knew was all too real for many of our boys overseas.
Dirty rascals from me.
When he is posthumously decorated, Republic Pictures pronounces its position.
We who are here under General MacArthur will let the world know when the enemy does come in thousands or tens of thousands that we are ready. And remember Pearl Harbor.
War economies were moved into place. Boomtown movie houses stayed open 24 hours a day to accommodate the swing shifts. Morale needed bolstering. Republic Pictures had important work to do, and the nuts and bolts of patriotism were right up its alley. Comedienne Judy Canova was staggered with work in Joan of Ozark.
Where am I? Handle boats and boats and boats until I'm going nuts.
Even before war was declared, the mood of the country was on the alert. And as usual, Republic movies were a mirror of the times. In the 1941 serial, King of the Texas Rangers, a spy on a mission to sabotage Texas oil fields reports to his superior.
Through a stupid blunder, this very nearly fell into the hands of the American authorities. There's a complete list of all the new sabotage agents that we've established in the United States.
You have done well. A slip now might ruin our chances to cripple American defense. Any difficulties with the work in Mexico?
None. We're now ready to move into the Texas oil fields.
Splendid. You will, of course, continue to keep me informed by radio.
For the cause.
For the cause.
3 dots and a dash spell V for victory in Morse code. The title Spy Smasher for a wartime serial is pure Republic attitude. The Mask, an evil villain with that ever-familiar German accent, dispenses orders to undermine the American economy.
This is the mobile unit. Drake speaking. Everything is ready here, Excellency.
Then proceed immediately to the contact point. You will receive your first consignment of American counterfeit money. The 4 boys you will pick up contain well over $1 million. Distribute it as you have been instructed.
In the face, please.
And Joey Brown takes on Hitler in Republic's Joan of Ozark.
Sorry. In the face, please. In the face, please. There's one misunderstanding that I don't want, no longer should be misunderstood. I want peace. I love peace. And I am going to have peace. A piece of Poland, a piece of Norway, and a piece of Czechoslovakia. Get over here, sir.
The folks at home couldn't wait to pound Hitler and blow Hirohito's top.
Any bonds today, bonds of freedom, that's what I'm selling. Any bonds today.
Don't forget that the money you lend will come right back to you in the end with interest. And what's the good of money till all the world is sunny? Buy a bond and watch the action then.
Republic stars raised money for the war. Elvira Weaver roused a crowd in Mountain Rhythm, a little treasure from Republic's vault that will forever be a peek at World War II on the home front.
So let's buy lots of war bonds and keep on buying more bonds until this war that's going on.
Wartime women took on men's work, and Republic Pictures heralded the switch with the original Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie at work on the B-19. She's never glittery, nervous or jittery. Rosie, the Riveter, keeps the shop lookout for sabotage. Out there on the fuselage, he keeps the gang around. They love to hang around. Rosie.
Hoosier Holiday presented a common dilemma.
Well, what is it?
We want to join the Air Force. Miss Stubbins says we can't because we're farmers.
Mrs. Stubbins is correct.
You're chairman of the draft board. Can't you get them to make an exception in our case?
Why should I?
Because we want to be pilots and get in the scrap.
You're in the scrap now, as farmers.
You mean you won't do it?
That's right.
This is the way we do our part down on the farm.
In The Old Homestead, torch singer Ann Jeffries and farm girls share the stage with a pitch to our patriotic duty.
Me and the gal next door wanted to know we're gonna win this war, making things grow. If you like America free, you gotta dig, dig, dig for victory.
Don't you see, it all makes going to college seem as important as playing with paper dolls.
Republic Pictures went all the way to college for the war effort. In Youth on Parade, the professor sets these students straight.
It takes brains, and that's where you're supposed to come in. A 2-year-old could push a button to release a bomb. It took a lot of gray matter to perfect that bomb sight. There was a time when you could bluff and crib and kid your way through college, and no one was hurt but yourself. But when you do it today, you're the same as the shirker in the defense factory. or the rat who dodged the draft.
And in Republic's wartime tradition, the message is put to song with Ruth Terry to set us straight.
Study, buddy, we need brains, hot pen and ink, and guys who think and build more planes.
We all felt humble, really, to be able to do something for the war effort. It was a pleasure, and it meant a lot to us, and that's why we took it so seriously, too.
Our boys worked hard at home, but the sacrifice was even greater on the battlefield. The heroism of pilots fighting the Japanese came alive in Republic's 1942 classic, Flying Tigers. Exceptional dogfight photography combined studio footage with stock footage with special effects and miniatures to create a hellish wartime reality.
Pull out, Hap! Pull out!
All the fears and horrors of war take a toll on even the toughest of men. But John Wayne evens the score in The Fighting Seabees, when the Japanese are taking the island that holds all the fuel oil for a U.S. task force. This Seabee turns the tide.
Give me a thermite bomb and some wire.
Aye, sir.
What are you going to do? Feed them to those tanks. Gonna set off number 3 and we'll have our own barbecue. That'll fill that North Canyon with enough hot oil to scorch those nips back 6 generations.
Don't ride it too close. Give yourself time to jump.
Don't worry, I'm not taking any chances.
Uncommon valor. Wartime men paid the price. And another kind of heroism was needed for the Republic wartime wife.
Oh, you look beautiful, Sarah.
In the Eternal Sea, released in 1955, Republic looked back to that time of sacrifice.
How much time do we have, Johnny? 1 month? A week? How much time, Johnny?
7 hours.
In Republic War movies, time is always running out.
Enough, Ranga. I want Mr. Bennett's head undamaged.
The Black Dragon may gloat over a temporary victory, but they don't realize the determination of their honorable enemy.
What you do to me isn't important. There'll still be 130 million Americans who'll never quit till they've taken care of you and your entire nation.
American big talk. Japan will finish off your navy, will destroy your army, and will dictate her terms in the White House.
Tell it to the Marines.
Determination was the key to the beachhead filmmaking of Republic's classic, Sands of Iwo Jima.
We're going to be killed here. I'd like to get at them.
Director Alan Dwan had to keep a cool head amid the chaos of stars, extras, and live explosives on location at Camp Pendleton in Southern California. Actor Richard Webb remembers Dwan's style under pressure.
Everything was just complete chaos around him. But when they got it all straightened out, they said to him, "Alan, we're ready." He said, "All right, let's go." Because his mind was on one thing, the scene that was coming up.
But not every Republic soundstage made us relive our wartime predicament. Republic attacked the heavy headlines of the day with pure escape. Escape with a beat. Count Basie's big band drove away wartime blues. Ann Miller tapped through tough times, and dreams of the high life lifted wartime spirits when the movie lights went down. Black entertainers took center stage with a rap that has the ring of today.
That was the killer, but man alive, keep the jive bomber jumping under 35. Okay, Sandman, but slap my hand. I got to get back to the ferry command. Well, all right, solid, Pete.
In Republic's hit parade of 1943, sleepy soldiers wake to the music.
I'm the Harlem Sandman on a Harlem cruise. I comes around nightly and lightly sings the blues.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy days are here again. It's Harlem on parade.
Beautiful young Dorothy Dandridge raises the heat in Republic's 1944 production of Atlantic City.
Turn on that heat, boys, and throw it to me. Give me that beat, boys, to Charleston. Charleston, we are
Pops and Louie defy gravity.
like this in mine in Harlem on parade.
And of course, there's the inimitable Louis Armstrong.
No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, I'm happy on the shelf. And Miss for heaven, save my love. Oh, baby, did that.
Newcomer Nat King Cole gave us our marching orders.
If you want to swing and shout, get your kicks scared about I'm an errand boy rhythm. Send me. Lace your boots and follow through. I'll deliver straight to you. I'm an errand boy for rhythm. Send me. You can always find me down at Smoky Joe's. That's the place where all the gals skaters go. If you want variety, just step in and call for me. I'm an errand boy for rhythm. Send me.
From Nat King Cole to cascading staircases of feathered beauties, Republic kept us distracted from wartime with a song.
Endlessly, the way the old world turns, the way the ocean tosses, the way
Darling, this is a funny way for a man to find out he's a father. But you are.
Mother, I'll be loving you. Till such things are no longer
There she goes.
More than once, Republic put a lump in our throats. Republic Pictures understood the pain of wartime and celebrated the hard work of sacrifice.
All right, saddle up. Let's get back in the war.
Stay tuned for Republic's biggest star, John Wayne.
What about going back up?
Republic's biggest star. He made 33 films with the studio, many of Republic's best. He started as a nameless cowboy and won the war and the girl from day one. He was a man's man and a ladies' man.
What's your name?
He was a movie star and a movie producer for Republic Pictures. John Wayne had it all. But no movie star starts at the top. He had his share of early humiliations.
Oh, you look simply adorable. Turn around. Oh, go on, turn around. I declare, if I didn't know you were new out here, I'd think you were a real cowboy.
John Wayne endured horsetails in the face and roles played under a sheet. But once this night rider's charisma was let out of the bag, Republic could see this was no ordinary cowboy. From the first, John Wayne was Republic's idea of a leader of men.
Am I seeing things, or is that the little tin bag?
It is. And at 6 o'clock tonight, you'll close this place, and it stays closed.
What are you talking about?
As sheriff of this town, I'm serving you notice that if this place is in operation after that time, I'm arresting you.
I'm running this place.
And I'm running this town.
Bugler.
Down George.
In John Ford's Rio Grande, he led the cavalry. In the Fighting Kentuckian, he moved out with Oliver Hardy and the Kentucky Regiment.
Here you are, boys. Help yourselves.
In the Fighting Seabees, he led the Army Corps of Engineers.
My plan is this.
In Westward Ho, he rounded up an outraged posse.
Every man here will ride a white horse, wear a black shirt and a white scarf. And this way we'll know each other in battle.
But Wayne was not the flawless good guy, the pat hero. He was always a real man, and often a torturer. As the hardened ship's taskmaster, Captain Rawls, in the classic Wake of the Red Witch, John Wayne was the tormented loser, a man who had lost his soul to greed and the lust for revenge.
I know what you're trying to do. I gotta stop you cold. I'm gonna take this cargo to Davao, even if I have to.
As an infamous gunman and known killer in Angel and the Bad Man, Wayne fell prey to the cleansing example of an irresistible Quaker girl, the fetching Gail Russell. Nursing him back to life, she knew he could be a bad man turned good.
Hello. You can't learn the easy way, you'll learn the hard way.
John Wayne's greatest roles were men who appeared to be one thing
Yeah, like this.
while harboring the secrets of their souls.
Lonesome?
Sergeant Stryker in Sands of Iwo Jima was one of Wayne's finest roles, gaining him an Academy Award nomination.
Mommy's boy's going to be real quiet while Mommy has company.
Knock it off. Where's his father?
Gone.
When he realizes his one-night stand is buying formula with her favors, the evening takes a turn.
You know about babies.
Yeah, I know about babies.
Under the tough guy facade, John Wayne has a loving heart.
I didn't want to come beneath that spell, but love doesn't ask me for you.
There's no doubt about it. John Wayne had a way with women.
Why didn't you answer my phone call?
Can't hear.
And why didn't you answer my notes?
Can't read.
And my flowers? I know you can't smell. Well, this makes the picture perfect. Now you can't see.
I realized the day I met him that he was all I yearned to find.
You wanted to talk to me?
Yes, that's sort of the idea.
Well?
Is always on my mind. I'm broken-hearted, no pretending, or make-believe.
I'm seeing things for me.
I don't know
You know,
what will be.
you'd be lovely if you had brown hair.
That man is always on my mind.
Now, will you please get to the point and tell me what you want?
I want to marry you.
You what?
Wayne was quick with a kiss, but even a beautiful, wounded Susan Hayward had to wait for the words she wanted to hear from this man.
I love you.
What am I supposed to say?
Only what you feel.
I love you. Connie?
It took a lot of intestinal fortitude to keep a man like John Wayne at bay. But if anyone could summon herself to the task, it would have to be Maureen O'Hara. Appeared in Republic's final John Wayne film, The Quiet Man, O'Hara plays Mary Kate Danaher, a striking Irish beauty. Sean Thornton soon learns she's no easy catch.
Bold one you are. And who gave you leave to be kissing me?
So you can talk.
But even a wedding cannot bring bliss to this stormy Kathleen.
Don't touch me. You have no right.
What do you mean, no right?
I'll wear your ring. I'll cook. And I'll wash. And I'll keep the land. But that is all. Until I've got my dowry safe about me. I'm no married woman. I'm the servant I have always been. Without anything of my own.
That's ridiculous. You're my wife and fortune. What is this?
Haven't I been trying to tell you that until you have my dowry, you haven't got any bit of me? Me, myself!
There'll be no locks or bolts between us, Mary Kate, except those in your own mercenary little heart.
If it's a dowry she wants more than a husband, John Thornton's just the man to drag her back home to her brother with all the town watching.
Danaher, you owe me 350 pounds. Let's have it.
I'll pay you. Never.
That breaks all bargains. You can take your sister back. It's your custom, not mine. No fortune, no marriage. We call it quits.
You do this to me? Your own wife? After
It's
what?
done.
There's your dirty money. Take it. Count it, you spawn. And look, if ever I see that face of yours again, I'll push that through it.
Sergeant!
I'll be going on home now. I'll have the supper ready for you.
The Quiet Man gained 7 Academy Award nominations for Republic and 2 Oscars for color cinematography and for John Ford's direction of perhaps Republic's finest film. Coming up next, Republic Pictures and Changing Times.
Don't touch him. He's radioactive.
Is he human?
After the film industry boom of World War II, it moved to fewer but bigger productions. I've Always Loved You was Republic's first Technicolor film with a budget of $1.5 million. No small movie for 1946. In this recreation of Carnegie Hall, Republic star Catherine MacLeod plays Myra Hassman, an aspiring pianist, being readied for a world-class career by her mentor, Goranov. His ego won't allow the unmistakable talent of his young protege to command center stage.
What is it? Why are you angry?
But Catherine MacLeod's off-camera maestro was far more gracious.
Arthur Rubinstein was a lot of fun, and of course I was terribly in awe of him.
Arthur Rubinstein would play the actual soundtrack while tutoring the actress on exact fingerings.
And then he would say, "Now look, my darling." Say, "Yes, that's all right. Play it that way. Now this is when we're just before we're going to shoot." He'd say, "Yes, you're playing all the keys right." He said, "Look, let me show you. You cross your hands here because it looks harder. The public likes to know it's hard."
I've Always Loved You won world-class kudos for Little Republic Pictures and spurred the Cowboy Studio on to more high-class movies. In Moonrise, director Frank Borzage tells a brooding tale of love and murder with the black and white style of a master.
The killer blood, huh? Danny, did your old man have time to tell you how it feels to drop 6 feet at the end of a rope?
Danny's crime and flight is hallucinatory.
Oh, Danny fella, he's no better than his old man. For you, Danny. Danny Hawkins' dad was hanged. Danny Hawkins' dad was hanged.
Tormented for years by the man he finally kills, Danny can run, but he can't hide his murderous accident from the woman he loves.
Oh, get out of here.
You should have sent me away when I might have gone. It's too late now. Dan, please don't hurt me anymore.
When Orson Welles approached Republic to make his eerie production of Macbeth, the little Cowboy Studio jumped at the chance. Welles promised he'd do Shakespeare on a shoestring, and that was an irresistible combination for Republic.
Lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier.
But the Wellesian demand for authenticity left an incomprehensible soundtrack of Scottish dialect that took money and months to remedy. Not popular at Republic.
Hey, you emphatic speaker.
But the studio did spend money for big stars for its A pictures, and this one has become a cult favorite.
What is your clue? You can be kind. I know.
my Johnny.
In Nicholas Ray's Johnny Guitar, Joan Crawford plays an ambitious beer hall mistress named Vienna.
Tell me something nice.
Sure. What do you want to hear?
Lie to me. Tell me all these years you've waited.
All these years I've waited.
Tell me you'd have died if I hadn't come back.
I would have died if you hadn't come back. It's up to you.
She's bad.
Not me.
But not bad enough for what the locals have in store.
I'll give $100.
You'll have to do it yourself, Emma.
Only a jealous Mercedes McCambridge is willing to tighten the noose. Republic Pictures had a great love for the myth of the American West and its history. The Last Command is an epic story the studio had been wanting to tell for years. It became the most expensive film Republic would ever produce at a cost of over $2 million. In grand Hollywood style, Republic took on the costly Battle of the Alamo with a second unit team that made us feel the blows. Battles were always a Republic specialty. But by the end of the 1940s, times were changing, both at Republic Pictures and in the world. Our enemies were no longer at the end of a pointed gun. They were all around us. They were insidious and bent on the destruction of our American way of life. Republic Pictures reflected the tenor of the times, a frightened view of the threat of communism.
There's only one kind of truth. That is the Communist Party truth as seen by Marx, Lenin, and Stalin.
But they want to overthrow all governments, even the American government, by force and violence.
Then we'll overthrow it by force and violence. We'll have our way if it means bloodshed and terror. If we have to liquidate 1,000,000 milk pots like you.
Subversive activities were scary enough, but no peril hit the 50s with as much incomprehensible force as the bomb. Republic Pictures eased our burden of fear through the comedy of Mickey Rooney as the Atomic Kid.
Bomb! Atomic bomb! Ah! Oh, run for cover! Oh, no, run for cover!
Mickey stumbles into an atomic test site and eats a peanut butter sandwich when the bomb goes off. Surviving an atomic blast to become a medical curiosity is a joke that could only have appeared in the movies of the 50s.
Don't touch him, he's radioactive.
But by then, Republic had few reasons to smile. There was an entertainment revolution brewing, and its name was television. With escalating costs and a dwindling market for Westerns, Roy Rogers left the studio after 14 years as king of the cowboys.
Cut! That does it, boys.
Republic formed Hollywood Television Service, a company to release its own films and TV. With Rex Allen's Phantom Stallion in 1954, came the end of Republic's love affair with the B-Western. And with King of the Carnival, the Republic serial finally came to the end of its rope. In the 50s, Republic Pictures reflected the new realism in its movies. With the Cold War and the bomb came a loss of romance.
Tell me how much you love me, sweet.
A harder look at life.
I used to do a magic act about a disappearing girl. Here's the way it goes, Lydia. Just like this.
I'm not on anybody's team. I'm strictly on my own.
Are you happy that way?
What difference does it make?
I don't think you are. I can see him.
And what else can you see?
I'm not sure. But I think there might be an old dream there.
But it's dying out? Is that
It does for all of us.
But of course, Republic Pictures is a place where dreams can never die, where faith will always drive away the darkness. In 1956, Republic released Stranger at My Door, a little gem of an allegorical tale about an outlaw on the land.
You have a nice wife and kid. I'd hate to see anything happen to him.
What's going to happen to him?
A struggle with the forces of darkness threatens the pastor's life, faith, and family.
You could ask for just about anything in this world that you wanted and get it. Instead of that, you wind up on a rundown farm married to a preacher with a half-grown kid that isn't even yours.
I love my husband.
Do you? How do you know? You never tried anything different.
Don't you believe in salvation? For me, salvation is a clean pistol and a good horse.
With an electrifying score by Republic staff composer R. Dale Butts, William Whitney's remarkable directing of this wild horse scene brings the devil to the parson's paddock.
Back up! Get back!
Every morning, we'd work on the horse. And just little pieces at a time. We had them build some legs that the property man could, the special effects man could work. And we worked on it every morning, just a little bit, till the horse got tired. And then that's it for the day, and then we go on with the other stuff.
Don't kill him. Are you crazy?
When a shootout fatally wounds Clay Anderson, the preacher's tireless faith in Clay's rusty humanity finally leads the lost soul to salvation.
For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.
Republic Pictures had faith, and the studio hired filmmakers who knew how to use it. The Sun Shines Bright is a John Ford film released by Republic in 1953. In this tale of small-town prejudice, drunken old Judge Billy Priest is the only man to lead a funeral procession for one of the town's fallen women. Spurned by her own kind and denied a decent burial among them, Billy Priest seeks out the humanity of his Negro neighbors, whose church is a haven to one and all. He leads a town of righteous hypocrites back to the fold, back to accepting one another. The Sun Shines Bright was John Ford's last film for Republic and shared with the studio its hallmark of faith in humankind. By the time John Ford buried the local harlot, Republic's era of innocence was drawing to a close.
A couple of years, the gang will be all gone, wiped out.
What about you?
It's too late for me. But you're different. You're like the kind of men I used to know.
You believe that?
I've been remembering what it was like. Happiness, peace of mind, contentment.
The little studio in the valley was a family that thrived on hard work.
It was like a family. It really was. And you made wonderful associations and friendships And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, Republic, very much.
Joe, will you come home?
I'm home.
All good memories. 99%.
Well, I always found it a wonderful place. Everybody was nice to me. Everybody was thoughtful. We all knew each other, and we all liked each other.
The crew, I was in love with all the crew. They were just terrific. And that's where my strength was in the crew, because they would try extra hard to get something good.
It was a nice place to work. I used to tell them that I would never be a Barrymore, but I had more fun than Barrymore, probably. So I think I had a lot of fun.
The people, that was the crux of the whole thing. They were so dear. Giving, kind.
He's afraid you'd already gone.
I thought you might want this for a souvenir.
Oh, yes, we helped one another.
I love the studio.
It's like having your first love affair, you know. That's it. It's hard, anything, but to top it, and there are strange things about it that make you cherish it.
When we watch these films, we are welcomed back to the Republic family.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'll be beside you. This isn't the end. The beginning.
Thanks to film preservation and loyal fans, the legacy of Republic Pictures will always be with us.
With every passing decade, the value of this film, preservation of this film, will grow up enormously. In 100 or 200 years, you will be so happy that you restored them. Believe me that.
It's so gratifying to think that you have pleased some people that they still remember you after all these many years.
Coming next, Republic Pictures Today. Nearly every kind of movie magic till the studio officially closed its doors in 1959. But like many a Republic movie, there's an unexpected twist in the story. After more than a 30-year hiatus, Republic is back again as a producer and distributor of critically acclaimed television series, movies, and miniseries.
Separate but equal has been upheld by the court 7 times. If we don't push, who will?
Republic Pictures' new miniseries, Son of Morning Star, brings its legacy of the American West back to the screen with an enlightened recreation of the Battle of Little Bighorn.
The Indians called him Hayati, long hair. The Cheyenne called him Creeping Panther, who comes in the night. The Crow called him Son of the Morning Star, who attacks at dawn.
This may have been the end for General Custer and his misguided men. But there are no final chapters at Republic Pictures.
Well,
Aren't you going to kiss me goodbye?
I never want to kiss you goodbye, Kathleen.